Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Wednesday's edition of The Scoop. I nearly said Tuesday then, but we was here yesterday, but it's been a very busy week, as you can probably imagine, in the lead up to Gamescom. So yes, it is just going to be me today. I'm in the studio all alone. Yeah, again, leading up to Gamescom, you're probably going to see a little bit more of this over the next week or two, as Graham obviously does end up going over to Gamescom and leaves me on my own to be able to do this podcast. But yes, welcome to The Scoop, the UK's #1 video game podcast, even if we do say so ourselves. Coming at you live at 10 a.m. Yeah, it's definitely 2 o'clock now. Work comes first. So yeah, it's one of those, as and when we're able to have a little bit of time, we can then come downstairs and be able to do this for you. But we love doing this. It's just, it does end up going around the work stuff, which is coming in thick and fast, as you can imagine at this point. Again, I keep on mentioning Gamescom, but genuinely a lot of people who, they might not necessarily be in the video games industry, but they are a massive advocate of video games, don't really understand how much work goes into Gamescom and what that actually entails for digital marketing companies like ourselves at Jelly Media. So with that in mind, the amount of decks, yes, I said decks, and other things that we need to do to go and meet our clients while we're over there, or potentially meet some new ones. It's just one of those things that we have to obviously get in check before we end up going over there. Chappers, nice and early, coming in with the 26-month sub, he says. Fuck me, man. 26 months. It takes the piss. Barton Wilson's in here nice and early, so I do appreciate that. Chappers, actually, send me a DM, please, because I need to get your address. Obviously, because you were, I hope you're feeling better, by the way, because you wasn't here on Saturday. Everyone who supported us during the subathon, that wasn't able to make it, that I knew beforehand. I sent out all of their stuff like last Tuesday, sorry, when I was in the office. And obviously, because we wasn't sure whether or not you'd be coming or not. The people who we did know who were coming that supported us, we give them theirs on the day, which was obviously last Saturday. But yes, I do have your stuff to hand here. So if you could send me over your address, I'd very much appreciate that. And I can get that sent out for you today, because I do actually need to go to the post office. So yeah, I'll get that sent out for you today. Hopefully it'll be there by the weekend. Who knows? So yeah, if you could do that, that'll be fantastic. Chaos says, hello all. How was the meeting on Saturday? A few pictures I've seen look like it was a right motley crew and was fun to be had by all. Mate, it was amazing. It's the kind of thing that obviously the ICU community and our Discord have been trying to get together to be able to do for a long time. It's the time and a place that always let us down. So obviously being able to have the subathon and putting all of your generosity back into the community, honest to God, I think we probably had more food than, well, we definitely did have more food than was required. We could have fed about 50 people with the amount of stuff that we ended up buying, all the drinks that we had, all the beers that we had left over, which are just scattered around the office now. But yeah, it's amazing. It's one of those things now that we definitely want to be able to do at least once a year. I want to say at least once a year. I genuinely mean it could happen more than once, but we definitely need to have more of those things, because there's a lot of people that myself and Graham have played games with for years. You speak to them more often than not on Discord, or you're speaking to them in game chat as you're playing the likes of PUBG or Pro Clubs or whatever it is, and then having the opportunity for them to be able to, and bear in mind there was people that came from the bottom of the country and from the top of the country, i.e. from the bottom of England and from the top of Scotland. It was amazing that you guys obviously were able to come down and do that for us, to come to little old Blackpool and have a good old knees up. So I do appreciate every single one of you that obviously made the effort to be able to do that. People even paid for hotels the night before so they can make sure that they was here bang on 12 o'clock as me and Graham was putting up gazebos and setting up bloody Mason's jars with Vimto and water, because it was about 34 degrees on Saturday. So for someone of my physique and pale skin, it was an absolute nightmare. I brought the gazebo so I could stand underneath it for the majority of the day, but to the rescue, the aircon inside the building kept us all nice and cool. Obviously inside this studio now, you can see that the lighting is so much better than it was on Saturday, because there's just me in this in the studio, so there wasn't 15 people, like 4 people on the desk, people over there in the LAN corner playing PUBG, and then a couple of people in the production booth. It gets extremely sweaty in here when there's more than 3 people and all of these lights on. I've got the aircon on now just to try and bring the temperature down a little bit, but yeah, it was an absolutely amazing day, something that we obviously want to be able to do going forward on a more regular basis. But yeah, again, it was fantastic. So I do appreciate everyone who obviously helped put the event on, who was here nice and early to help us set up, who was here until the absolute death, helping us pack everything away. Because when you have about 23 people knocking about in your establishment, there is a lot of plates, cups, I'd say again, gazebos outside. There was a barbecue that was on fire, not actually on fire, but it still had a lot of hot coals in there and stuff. So I appreciate all of you guys that obviously ended up staying behind. That helped us put everything together, because me and Graham didn't leave here until about 10 o'clock, even though everyone had already left at like 7. So I appreciate that. Chapper says, I will do, Doke. Fantastic. Phony Asteroid says, I'll read. Damn Twitch, no notifications. Afternoon, Bibby says, JMK, good afternoon, sir. Chaos says, I would have come up, but I was in New York till yesterday, so couldn't make it. Oh no, what? You was in New York? Oh no, I bet that was really difficult for you to get your head around. Bastard, I've been to New York once. I've just seen the airport because we landed there before going to Vegas for about 3 hours while I was waiting for a changeover. Samantha's been, the wife's been, she loves it, but she wants to go back in Christmas time, and I'm like, you want to go to New York on Christmas? Are you fucking mental? Why would I want to be milling about when there's thousands and thousands and thousands of tourists all stood around going to ice skate and stuff? I mean, that makes me sound like a miserable bastard, but there is nothing worse than queuing up for things or being surrounded by hundreds, thousands of people when you're just trying to walk down the street. That is not my idea of fun. Get me to a casino or something like that. That would be fantastic. I don't mind doing any walking or any activities as long as I don't have to wait stupid times for things. Like, I will draw the line at Disney. Disney is about as good as it gets when it comes to having to queue up for something, because you know full well what you're going to be queuing up for is going to be absolutely mega. But to walk down the street or go and see a giant tree in the middle of Central Park, that is not my idea of fun. I'd do it for her, though, because I'm a top guy and a top husband. So I would do that for my wife, but it's not my idea of fun. Really not. There was a meetup. No one told me. I mean, I can't see the emojis on this because we've got the chatty up. It just comes up as an M, but I'm guessing that was a kappa. Ads has put an emoji as well. I can't see that one. I do apologise. In fact, I probably could if I bring it up on this screen here rather than looking at the chatty. That would probably be a better idea. But Japper says, we'll be at the next one, guaranteed. Got to miss this one. To be fair, New York is always full of tourists. Well, I mean, it is a tourist hotspot of the world. I imagine what London is like to us lot, but on a massive steroid scale. Tyler says it's also freezing in New York in December. The cold doesn't bother me. It's the heat. I can handle any kind of cold. I'm from Manchester, mate. I've got fucking parkas coming out of my ass. I've got a wardrobe full of cagoules and parkas. So the cold, irrelevant. However, it gets to a point where you have to stop stripping off to have a little bit of dignity left when it gets a bit too hot. That's what I struggle with. Obviously, again, being pale skin. I had to explain this. I know this is way off track of being a video games podcast, but being a ging, you do have pale skin, which obviously means that you feel the heat a lot more, if that makes any sense. Like, I had to explain this to her, like, because I burn instantly, like, I can't be in the sun for too long, otherwise I just end up getting cremated. She doesn't understand the fact that I only need to be in there for 10 minutes and I'm done. Like, I am out of here. Like, the humidity hits me different, the heat hits me different, all of that. She doesn't understand. She's a sun worshipper, so when there's a little bit of sun, she's outside in the garden, bosh, gets the sunbed out or whatever, she could be there for 4 or 5 hours easy. Whereas me, I'm out there, I can already start to feel myself going burn. I'm out there, like, I can't do it. Just get me in a load of shade, get me under 14 parasols so I can walk or lie down without getting fucking cremated. But yeah, it just hits me different, so I don't need that in my life. But I do love being in the sun. I do like having the sun around. If England could stay at a steady 18-19 degrees for the rest of my life, obviously that does mean that global warming's hitting us bad and shit like that. That's bad news. Oh shit, that BB really manages to damage that screen. Yeah, this one, didn't it? But it looks okay. It looks okay still. We haven't got any smash screens in this gaff, which is great. But yeah, if England could stay like a steady 19 degrees, that would be fantastic. It means that I get to have my legs out constantly, get my old shorts out, do you know what I mean? Get the old top out, I would miss my googles. Chapper says it's part of it not even Christmas time, just in general. I went in October, like out of nowhere, in the actual holidays, and it was rammed constantly. That isn't my idea of fun. Chaos, I was in Long Island, the Hamptons, rather than the city for the last 2.5 weeks. Ooh, that sounds fantastic. As says, I missed this due to football. Good game though. You missed what? Did you go and watch Celtic? Is that why? Is that why you couldn't make it? And that was incredible, says Chaos. Rumpig says, I don't like the heat. Don't do December here then. Where are you, Rumpig? Where are you? I don't... It's going to make me feel a little bit jealous, I can imagine. King Comic as well is now hosting, so I appreciate that. I don't need to apologise. You're a legend. Again, West coming in with the sub. I very much appreciate that. King Comic says, what go on, blood? Oh, it says bib. That's embarrassing. As says, I'm not ginger, but I'm super pale, so I feel you. Epilepsy doesn't help either. King Comic with the at in there as well. West says, only kidding. Hotter the better. As says, Rumpig says Australia. Yeah, there is zero chance. I mean, weather aside, it would be a no-go anyway. But the fucking giant spiders, not a chance. I'm going to a place that the spiders have tattoos. They are that big. Do you know what I mean? Like, they have calves the size of my little finger, and I don't need that. I do not need to be intimidated by a spider that big. Not happening. Chapper says, Ozzy, what's the plan for today? Well, the plan for today is for me to be able to get this podcast on the road. I mean, we know that Graham can waffle. I am doing Graham's job here by introducing what this podcast is and then just going on a completely different tangent. I've taken his mantle and ran with it. So, I suppose that we better get on with the show, aren't we? We'll shall we run the pre-rolls again just to be able to bring it back in? Nah, I don't think we will. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is The Scoop, the UK's number one video game podcast. Even if I do say so myself with all my words, I'm getting all wrong. We go live each and every single weekday at 10 a.m.-ish. And it's a podcast that's hosted by myself and Graham via Ice Cream Uploads, but it is made by you guys. You guys come in, you give us the stories, you give your thoughts and impressions, we then give you our thoughts and impressions on top of your thoughts and impressions. That is how this show works. It gets streamed on Twitch live, and then straight afterwards we take it, slap it into a little MP3, and then put it out to the rest of the world for them to be able to listen to on any of their podcast services. But they don't get to have their say unless they're watching on YouTube. Then obviously they can just go into the comments below. So if you are doing that, I appreciate that. If you've lasted this long on YouTube, because the average watch time on YouTube isn't that long. If I haven't got your attention by now and you're not here, I tell you what, if you are here and you're on YouTube, go into the comments below and type in Christmas in New York. That way I know that you guys are listening to this podcast and you haven't just gone, why the fuck is this guy still waffling on? Do you know? But I would appreciate if you do stick around, because we are just about to get into our first news story. And today's first news story is about Disney. They are making waves all over the world, but also in the video game realm, as it looks like we are going to be getting a brand new Disney game. I mean, I'm going to be blatantly honest here. This is a little heart-to-heart between me and you guys. If Graham's listening, if he can just pause or just mute this for the next 5 seconds so he thinks that I'm not doing my job properly. This is actually yesterday's news that I actually got ready for yesterday's show, but me and Graham was extremely busy, so we didn't get to air it. But because I was extremely busy today, I didn't really have a chance to be able to go and find more news. So this is yesterday's news being brought today, okay? That's a little bit of transparency between us, between myself and you guys. So, let's welcome Graham back into the room. Hi, Graham. Yeah? We cool? Ah, let's get into the first news story then. Oh my god. Okay, that wasn't meant to happen, but whoever was in the stream last has had all of those ready and rolling. Oh my god, yeah, I can see them all. Someone's just shit. Let me unhide all of those. Okay, that shouldn't happen again. Woo! That made me shit a little bit. Then I ain't even got my headset on, so I do apologise for you guys that are listening to this on any of your audio devices, because you probably would have pooped. So I do apologise. Rumpy says they're armless. No, they have more than they have a lot of arms and legs. There's about usually 8 of them. King Cobra says the eFootball news. Do you think the new PlayStation Plus is worth it? I don't know, because I haven't subscribed to it. So I can't give you any thoughts and impressions on that one. Add words to the sentence will come together eventually. All of the things. If it's not Kingdom Heart, I don't want to care. Great tagline, yesterday's news today. Anyway, let's get into today's news. This is written on Eurogamer by Matt Wales, and he says that Disney... Small burp there. Disney promises a sneak peek at Amy Hennig's Marvel game in September, alongside more Marvel's Midnight Sun. Getting into the body of the article then. He says that Disney has announced it's hosting a game-focused digital showcase in September with a sneak peek at Amy Hennig's new Marvel game promising to be a highlight. Can I stop this ad? No? Okay, we're just going to get a Starbucks ad in the middle of it. The Disney and Marvel Game Showcase, which is running as part of this year's D23 Expo, will be streamed on Friday the 9th of September at 9 p.m. in the UK or 1 p.m. PT. It's promising an all-new announcements alongside its additional details on previously revealed games. There's going to be more from Disney's Dreamlight Valley, for instance, alongside additional news on the LEGO Star Wars: A Skywalker Saga and the recently delayed Marvel's Midnight Suns. The real draw, though, unless you really love your village life sims, is a glimpse of Skydance, the new media, and Hennig's Marvel Assemblance game. Announced last October, little is currently known about the project beyond the fact that it'll be a narrative-driven blockbuster action-adventure. It's the second major game in the works as Skydance's new media, which Hennig helped establish after joining Skydance in 2019, with the other being a richly cinematic adventure game set in the Star Wars universe. This isn't Hennig's first brush with Disney, of course. The Uncharted creator memorably spent 3 years working on Project Ragtag, the ill-fated Star Wars game left on the shelf by EA after developer Visceral Games was shut down. But while it sounds like Hennig's latest Star Wars effort will remain under wraps for a little while longer, there's now less than a month until her Marvel Games 9th of September reveal. So, I know there's been a lot of Marvel over the last 4 years. I mean, that's kind of an understatement. Marvel has been either in the cinemas, whether or not you're watching it on Disney Plus, and you're watching the likes of Loki or Black Widow. Was it Black Widow? I'm not sure. I can't remember. What's the one where it was in black and white? I'm not familiar with it because my Samantha watches it. The wife watches all of that stuff. It's not in my remit to watch all that stuff anymore. Like, I can't remember what it was called. It was in black and white, and then it had Vision in it. I'm forgetting the name. WandaVision. There we go. JMK coming in. Yeah, WandaVision. That's the one I'm looking for. Yeah, whether or not you're watching those left, right, and centre, or Captain America and the Winter Soldier, whether or not you're watching all of that stuff, that's absolutely fine. It's all over the place at the moment. Then we had the Marvel Avengers game, which a lot of people enjoyed, a lot of people absolutely hated. I feel like it is getting to a point now where it's probably going to be an enjoyable experience to be able to play. And then obviously all of the films in the cinema as well, which are coming in again thick and fast. So with Midnight Suns right around the corner, are we in a position where another Marvel IP is going to be hitting the shelves? Is that something that's getting people excited? Is the question I want to ask to you guys. Are you excited about the prospect of more Marvel, or are you getting a little bit tired of it by now? Because it feels like it's just overwhelmingly everywhere, which is absolutely their money spinner. Do you know what I mean? If you had something that is going to be making you money hand over fist, and you have the opportunity to make more of those things, then obviously you're going to be able to do it. But as the average consumer like myself, the Marvel universe to me is something that I will always dip my toes into. However, I don't take it that seriously. Like, I'm not looking at the timelines and I'm going, okay, this slides in here. Like, I'm watching it for the sake of entertainment rather than the entire backstory of how this fits in somewhere, is essentially the way I perceive the Marvel universe as it stands. But as someone, you might be in the chat, who is a massive Marvel fan, are you excited about the prospects of something like this, or are you a bit overwhelmed with it? Because it does seem to be absolutely everywhere. which again isn't a bad thing if you're a person who enjoys the Marvel universe. I'm not going to sit here and say I don't like the Marvel universe because I'm a DC fan and a Batman fan. I am a Batman fan. Believe me, if you watched any of these streams before from my home setup, you will see that I've got a giant bat signal on my wall. I've got Batman hoodies. I've got the hats. Like, I am a Batman enthusiast. Like, I love it. I can't get enough of that stuff. However, if it got to a point where I was seeing so much of it, it probably would overwhelm me. But obviously I can't comment on that because DC, when they do churn stuff out, it's a bit shit. I still haven't seen Birds of Prey yet. Like, that's been out fucking about 3 years at this point. Not seeing it. Got no intention of watching it anytime soon. But yeah, that's just the way it is. Things will never be the same. JMK says Hawkeye, Loki, What If, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, not Captain America the Winter Soldier. Thank you for the correction. One Division, Moon Knight, Mrs. Marvel, She-Hulk, etc. Yeah, it just seems to be everywhere. Again, this is my non-educational opinions and facts being put out, because obviously I'm getting the names of them all wrong. I get tired of it 5 years ago, says Chappers, in terms of when I was asking him whether or not he was interested in it. The Boys has been a breath of fresh air because superheroes are fucking cool, but the Marvel stuff is so clean and sterile at this point. So The Boys is different. And I do agree with that. I've only watched a couple of episodes of The Boys, and I do like the prospect of a... not going to say PG-13 because it's clearly not, it's an 18, but having the other side of the coin where it's that they are swearing. I'm an adult, I'm 31 years old, so they don't have to water things down for me to be able to cater for it. Like, I imagine most people in this chat, I mean, in the ICU community as a whole, we don't have that many young people in here, shall I say, like under the age of 24. I imagine most of our audience are probably between 28 and 50, maybe even a little bit older than that. So we all kind of enjoy the same things, which is great because it means that we don't have to cater. I don't have to watch my language. I mean, I do try and taper it down a little bit because in my normal everyday language, and I'm genuinely not proud of this, but the way that I am as a person, I don't swear every other word, but there is going to be a swear word in the sentence, which I'm happy that I don't have to cater my audience to not do that. Dr. Disrespect had to do that. Sorry, I can't say his name. The two-time, at one point, had to taper all of his language on there because his sponsors wouldn't allow him to be able to swear as often as he used to do. Now, it feels like a breath of fresh air. He's over on YouTube and he's being able to be himself. Like, I want something that feels real. And I know that sounds ridiculous because superheroes aren't real, but I want something that has a little bit more edge to it. And I don't mean edge saying offensive things just to be able to try and get a reaction, but just feel like I am watching real life is essentially what I'm saying. Again, the superhero thing, they're not real, but if they were real, to be in a real world environment, and I feel like that's obviously what The Boys is. So it's nice to be able to watch something that does have that injection of fresh air in it, without having to taper it down to meet any kind of, how do I put this politely, a ratings board. Like, if it's a 15, obviously they can't include certain things. If it's a 12, they definitely can't include those things. So it's nice to be able to have something that seems to have the stabilizers well and truly off, and they're doing their own thing. DC Marvel, is there a difference? Says Gargad, ready for the pitchforks. Rumpig says, no interest in Marvel, never watched any of it and never played any of it. I do feel like you are missing out in some respects because they do have the fact that they have different phases and they all intertwine, and like, I like the fact that they do plan their content way in advance, and then they have different superheroes, albeit doing their own thing, and then eventually end up coming in to meet each other. I do think that's pretty cool. But I do agree there is a lot of it, and it does become a little bit sterile, as Chappers would have put. Yeah, exactly. Love the way it touches upon the idea that maybe superheroes aren't exactly heroic. Good show, and it's ace. Eternal Lee, long time no see. I hope you're doing okay, pal. Got bored of Marvel movies after the first Avengers movie. Person gets inherits powers. Person does stuff with powers. Person losing powers. Person gets them back. Beats the bad guy. Saves the world. Rinse and repeat. Superheroes aren't real. You didn't see the Emmy the Bundeya for Villa against Everton. Sorry, the lights are reflecting from behind here onto this monitor. I do need to pull it out a little bit actually because it's right in the middle of the screen, so I can't. There's some things I have to wait for it to move, the chat to move up to be able to see it properly. Yes, I get where you're coming from. But yeah, it's very much like what Graham was mentioning about The Sopranos to me at the office yesterday. You always know that when it's some sort of mafia family, that the son despises the dad. He then ends up going over to the other mafia the rival mafia family. It can either go one of two ways. He goes in and wants to take over his dad's business, or he ends up thinking, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm going against my father, and then ends up killing the other mafia family for his father. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can see that shit coming a mile away, and that's where the boredom sets in. That's where I feel like we do need something that's a little bit, you know, Game of Thrones-y, shall we say. Now, I haven't watched all of Game of Thrones. It is absolutely a bibby show, but as you can probably imagine, I don't play that many video games anymore. I know Game of Thrones finished a long, long time ago, and I probably would have had time to be able to watch it. But I'm probably watching documentaries on how vinyls are made on YouTube or something like that instead. So I probably should watch it, but I kind of get the vibe of what it is. Characters die out of completely nowhere. Characters that may be the main person in the show would just die like that. And that's the kind of thing that I feel like we are lacking in media nowadays. Like, there's no surprises. It's all very, you know, yellow taped. Like, you kind of get the inkling that something's going to be happening. Spoiler alert, I'm going to be mentioning something about The Walking Dead now. So if you are yet to watch The Walking Dead, or you're currently watching it and not up to about season 8, I think it is, then probably want to mute this for like the next 15 seconds. I do apologize, but there was a massive build up to apparently where Andrew Lincoln, I always forget his name, he plays the main part in there, hit the main character in The Walking Dead. It's gone. Anyway, there was rumours that he was meant to be leaving. Obviously, he did end up leaving, and he was meant to die this glorious death that didn't end up happening. He ended up getting picked up and whisked away in a helicopter. I assume, but again, I've not watched like the last 2 seasons because I thought, this is bullshit, I'm not watching this anymore. But he got whisked away in a helicopter, I imagine, to make his reappearance at some point. I do believe The Walking Dead is now finished. I don't know whether or not he did make a return. However, that was Rick Grimes. That was Sheriff Rick Grimes. I don't know whether or not he did make an appearance. If you are in the chat, please don't tell anyone that it's in there, because obviously I've given the warning that you can mute it. You guys you don't have that warning over in the chat. But he got whisked away in a helicopter with the intention, I imagine, to bring him back. Very much like what happens in soap operas over in the UK. If someone doesn't die, the chances are they are coming back into that soap at some point. It's open-ended for them to be able to make an appearance. You never know. At some point, you may see Curly Watts end up coming back into playing fucking Curly Watts over in Coronation Street. You never know. It's open-ended. He didn't die, is essentially what I'm saying. So, Christ knows. There's the wave. You can come back in now. Re come back in. It's fine. Open the door. Come back. Welcome you all in. Good attempt, that Bibby, showing all his ball knowledge. They can still die and come back. Nasty Nick and EastEnders. I mean, if the fans want it, the fans want it. Yeah, showing all his ball knowledge. Listen, my balls, I'll never be on a show on this. But yeah, you get where I'm coming with this. Bring back Mr. Blobby. I did actually see something on Twitter yesterday of Mr. Blobby wrestling. I don't know where it was from. I don't know when it was from. But Mr. Blobby was in a wrestling ring suplexing someone. And that was on my Twitter feed yesterday. And I was pissing myself. Like, Noel Edmonds' house party with Mr. Blobby was fantastic. Like, that's when I was a kid. That's when I was growing up. That shit was happening. But yeah, that's just what it is. Anyway, I'm getting well off track here. This is what happens when Graham isn't here and I just end up waffling. Again, as I mentioned yesterday, if Graham's not listening, that's absolutely fine. But this is yesterday's news, so we're going to cover this now. And this was some FIFA 23 news. This discussion was actually taking place over in the Discord yesterday evening, so it's kind of relevant still. Yeah? See those straws over there that I'm trying to clutch at? Yeah? Okay. No winner chicken dinner or anything on the screen now, is there? No, fantastic. So FIFA 23 turns players into Marvel superheroes. Written by Justin Reeve over at The Gamer, and he states that FIFA 23 is going to be making Marvel superheroes out of the most famous players in football. Taking place in the form of the popular FIFA Ultimate Team heroes, the players in question will be featured on specially illustrated cards when the World Cup mode launches on November the 11th, 2022. These brand new World Cup cards will feature better stats than any of their baseline versions. The normal cards will be available right off the release of FIFA 23. EA and Marvel Entertainment announced a collaboration to bring a new cast of FIFA Ultimate Team heroes to the pitch in EA Sports FIFA 23, reimagined and inspired by Marvel Comics. The official announcement by EA reads, this collaboration between two of the world's largest entertainment brands will bring some of the game's fan favourites to the game and also celebrate their larger-than-life cult hero status alongside the amazing artists at Marvel. Recognising their memorable careers for the club and country, each FIFA World Cup foot hero will receive a specially illustrated foot item at the launch of the World Cup game mode. The partnership between EA and Marvel extends beyond cards. The collaboration will include other vanity items related to the fan favourite heroes being immortalised as Marvel-inspired heroes, including tifos, kits, balls, and more. Fans will also be able to play get their hands on forthcoming online Marvel Heroes comic book alongside Marvel written BIOS. The four superheroes currently confirmed by foot are Yaya Toure, legend, Jisung Park, Ricardo Carvalho, and Claudio Marchisio. EA will be announcing more entries into its glowing cast of characters at a later date, along with further details about other merchandise. FIFA 23 will be available worldwide on September 30th, blah, 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 blah. So it looks like we're going to be getting basically just... I imagine this is probably going to be SBCs or something, or available in packs. I hope it's going to be more towards SBCs, if I'm being honest, but we know it's going to be in packs. Your pack look might be a bit shit for this one. It's going to be... If the stats are obviously different from the baseline stuff, I can't imagine it being broken, but that early on in the game, they are not going to be super powerful cards like they are now. That's just the way it is, isn't it? They're never going to have like 98 rated Yaya Toure in these packs. I haven't seen the cards yet, but I imagine his best rating at City was, I think, 89. So it could go up to maybe 91, 92. I think that'll probably be feasible. And then eventually they'll end up bringing out all the icon cards and stuff like that, or his player of the month card, or his performance in the Manchester derby, obviously when we won 6-1, or the FA Cup final about Stoke, or the 1-0 win against United in the FA Cup. And, you know, the normal Yaya Toure stuff, that 2013 season where he was just fucking unplayable. Like, let's just stick him in there. Give him a 98 rated card and I've done with it. But yeah, we're going to see more of this. It's a cool little crossover, if I'm being honest. It's like the crossover with Dragon Ball Z and Fortnite now. That shit is epic. Like, it looks cool. I know there's someone in the office I'm not going to name at this moment in time because he fucking took me in twice on Pez on dinner. One thing that I'm happy about is that we've got Pez back on dinner in the office. I do like Fortnite, however, there is nothing better than when the lads get some 2v2 going on Pez. Pez Universe have hooked us up with the patch that is now available in the office to be able to play it on dinner. Like, we've been playing it the last couple of days. I took Jay in yesterday, and he did the same to me today. We played best of 3. He won the first one yesterday. I won 2. He beat me 2-0 today. Like, he fucking hammered me, I'm not going to lie. Haaland is garbage. Like, in real life, fantastic. It doesn't replicate in that game for whatever reason. Tixon, thank you very much for the follow. Very much appreciate that. But he took me in twice today, so I'm probably never going to wear the end of that one. Chapper says, Noel's death on U-Tree's list. That's all I'm saying. You reckon? I hope not. I hope not. Him and Lionel Blair are two of my childhood, like, legends. Like, I fucking loved watching their stuff. So I hope to God that'll never be the case. It's for the kids, in it. Nunes' special power is headbutting right next to Zidane. Says Funny Asteroid. Chapper says, I'll not touch it, but then again, I don't touch Coco Melon either. I don't, but I've got a very young 7-month-old child that's still watching Funky Veggies. It isn't quite cutting it as much as it used to do, so I'm reckoning that's probably something that's going to move on at some point. I did get him into the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, though, because that's the one that I watched when I was growing up, so it's so cool going back and watching it again. He is a little bit into it, but he's not quite... He needs to have the black background at the moment with the dancing Funky Veggies. That's what he's banging into because he can spot them. He can't see... I don't think he can see all the colours yet. So if there's too much colour going on the screen, it kind of blurs. But the Funky Veggies is something that we've had for him for a while. Great way to keep the kids gambling. Yep, says Ads. I mean, I've been over this topic a million times with you guys, and it's It's one that I don't think I will ever get full backing on, which I'm not asked whether or not you guys all understand or agree with me at all. Like, I've got my own opinion, you guys have yours. But the kids gambling thing, I understand, is something that may entice them to want to be able to go and take their mum's card. But at the end of the day, it comes down to a parenting issue as well. The kids are not entirely responsible for this. EA are obviously responsible as well. But as a responsible parent, fucking hell, like, it's gambling. Do you know what I mean? Like, there is thousands of people out there that have got gambling, hundreds of thousands of people that have got gambling addictions out there. I've told the story many times on this podcast. Like, I don't think that I ever had a gambling addiction, but it got to a point where I enjoyed putting money on accumulators or doing roulettes and stuff like that on a weekend. I wouldn't burn all of my wage. I wasn't that fucking stupid, but I was easily sinking 40 or 50 quid over 2 weeks, which is a lot of money for someone who didn't have a lot of money. So obviously, it's all relevant depending on how much you earn and how much you were spending. But it got to a point where I was doing these £20 to £1,000 accumulators, and I put about 60 quid on like the fourth one out of 10. And it was just to return like 70 quid, and I lost the 6 quid. And do you know what? Fuck this. I'm not doing it again. Closed all my betting accounts. It's all relevant depending on how much you actually earn and how much you end up losing. However, I saw that I had not addiction. I saw that 60 quid was a lot of fucking money, and I ended up pissing it away. That was me just going, do you know what? I don't need any of this anymore. I don't believe in this world that everyone should be looking out for you. I believe you have some sort of, you owe it to yourself to look after yourself as well. You can't expect people to be able to do everything for you. If something was to be taken out of a game because 100,000 people have some sort of either an intense addiction or a mild addiction to it, that doesn't mean that the other millions of players do. I do believe that I have close friends that enjoy putting £10 a week into playing any kind of game that has a loot box system in there. They enjoy the thrill of being able to do it. They haven't got an addiction. They just enjoy, and they have disposable income to be able to do that. Do we start closing down casinos then? I understand nowadays there was a point where we're not allowed to advertise beer on football shirts anymore, but there's 1,000,001 adverts advertising beer and football. There's something going through at the moment to not have betting companies on the front of football shirts, because gambling is people are struggling with gambling addiction. Like, there's a duty of care to be had, but it shouldn't be at a very top level where people are having their enjoyment stripped away from them as well. Because just because it's not on the front of a football shirt doesn't mean that person isn't going to go into the bookies or go to a pub at the end of the day. Like, that comes down to self-care. That comes down to a duty of care, maybe from your family members or your friends as well, not just the people at the very top that are advertising these things for you. Vaping seems to have taken out the world by storm. And as much noise as there is about people it being bad for you, it's still fucking everywhere. And it's extremely bad for you still, just as much as not just as much as having a normal cigarette is, but it still harms your health. At what point do we go, do you know what? You know, this shit's bad. It's entirely up to you whether or not you end up doing it, though. Like, I'm a fat bastard. No one's stopping me from eating food. Do you know what I mean? No one's stopping me from going, Bibby, put the fucking burger down, lad. You don't need any more. It will take about a year for you to waste away. But fucking Burger King's on my TV every day, and so is McDonald's. I don't know. I feel like the duty of care thing has kind of been taken to the absolute extreme. But I'm a 31-year-old man that's clearly having a rant on the internet. Oh shit! Which is this one? It's this one. Where's it gone? There it is. I can scroll back up again now. Park, what a legend. Yeah, just betting sponsors for football clubs. Hate that. Stakes a scam casino known for scamming and using them as a sponsor. Chapper says, and I don't even get me started on Defabet. Don't know what it is. The famous Ruby overhead kick against City. Celtic ex-sponsor. Precision says, Shagger. Yes, he is. Does it look like a Shagger? Yes, he is. Is he a Shagger? Yes, he is. Welcome in Precision. Last season sponsor as well, actually. Chapper says they still sponsor them. Never known a sponsor, really, Chappers. I buy mine without it. It looks better, in my opinion. Agreed. I hope a little un's enjoying his Iron Brute, mate. By a little un, that was Samantha. Like, I managed to have less than a glass full of the good stuff before she ended up tanking it all. But yeah, from what I tasted, it was fantastic. I do appreciate you bringing that down for us as well, mate. It was amazing. Thank you so much. Graham says, now then, what did I miss? Apparently me ranting about gambling. Biddy played a blinder. He's Bibby. Naked Neil says, looking handsome bib when don't I? Do you know what I mean? There you go. Screenshot that all you want. I agree. Parents are at fault too. Again, this is something that we're always going to have a coming together about, because I do believe that there is a duty of care. I don't need to go over it again. You guys understand my standpoint from it as well. You can't just keep on blaming these corporations when you have a duty of care to yourself and your loved ones too. Chapper says, I must admit I've had a few flutters since the footy came back, thankfully. All just been bets that I've had from funds from previous winnings. Chapper said, had some good wins over the Women's Euros, so on some small flutters. He also says, but yeah, I can see the addiction coming, so I'm going to pack it in when my winnings pot runs dry. That's what it is though. Like, I understand there is a lot of people out there that don't have the strong mentality to be able to, when the fun stop. I absolutely understand that. Some people don't have that. It's something that's in your makeup, whether or not it's in your brain activity or whether or not it's in your personality. Some people don't have that. Some people have an addiction to playing video games. Fuck me, people have an addiction to having sex and wanking. Do you know what I mean? There is an addiction for absolutely everything. And I understand that, that's something that you can't overcome just overnight. No pun intended. But you do have the option to be able to help yourself, and I don't think that gets talked about enough. There is so many support lines over there, whether or not it's on live chat, on whatever addiction it is that you're looking for, whether or not it's over a telephone, whether or not it's something that you can have a face-to-face meeting about, whether or not it's with your GP or someone a little bit more specialist. Like, there is so many support things out there, and I feel like that is more of something that needs to be driven home than just, they've got fucking betting sponsors on the front of the football shirts. Like, that won't help. Like, I'm telling you now that removing the name of breweries off of the front of football shirts did not help people not get pissed at football games, or going to the pub afterwards, or going to the pub beforehand, or going after work. That shit was irrelevant. Did it play a small part? I imagine so. I'm going to say probably less than 2%. Now, a lot of people are probably going to go, well, that's 2% less. But it might be 120% up, so it's irrelevant. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't believe that those things help. What I do believe helps is telling people that they need help. Or if you see your friend struggling, you going, do you know what, mate? I can see that you're a bit down at the moment. This is what I think you need to do. I'm more than happy to come and help you. That shit is more effective than removing the things that you think is being the barricade, or you think is being the thing at fault. I'm telling you now, nothing is more effective than you putting your arm around your mate and going, are you okay, pal? And I mean, you can fucking clip that if you want. Genuinely, your duty of care to your friends and your family is more important than what you think a corporation is putting in front of your eyes. I am telling you now, it's as simple as that. It's something that me and Graham have always said. If people aren't feeling themselves, that is what the Discord is there for. You might not necessarily want to talk to everyone, but me and Graham are there to be able to help you. I'm not going to tell you how many people have done that to me so far for me to be able to then go and have a conversation with them. It's been a lot of people over the last 3 years, obviously since COVID and things have been shut down, that me and Graham have got so many messages about us being able to do this podcast and keeping them company because they are feeling alone right now. Like, that shit was genuinely, like, it nearly brought me to tears. It was that emotional with the fact that people are going, thank you so much for helping me and reaching out and just being there, just doing this podcast and having us in the chat and having you guys. Like, that is more effective than removing something from the very top. I'm telling you now. Like, just putting your arm around your mate, it's as simple, that's all it comes down to. Mate, family member, regardless. Taking away fucking betting things from advertising boards or the front of the shirt. That ain't doing shit. That's just hiding the problem. The problem at the source is making sure that your friends are okay, your family members are okay. That's all it comes down to. A support network is everything. Everything else is just hiding the problem. Simple as that. Easy. Anyway. I've had some good wins over the Naked Neil. I've dropped £1,000 on PUBG crates over the last year. Says Naked Neil. Eternal Lee says Eli. No. Eli, boom. No, Bem. Hang on. Bundy? Don't know what that was. Precision says, if anything, I tried to feel you I tried to feed you a bite of my burger, a real mate, and that, my friends, is the truth. Because I said that looks fucking great. He goes, do you want a bite? It's like literally putting it in my face. Do you want a bite? But yeah, stuff like that. Tanked a lot, fair play. You can get addicted to cheese, for fuck's sake. Precision says, I'm on my 19th wank today. It's like a pepperami. His words, not mine. I'm addicted to football games. Says ads chappers like something to do with the endorphins released when you eat cheese is similar to the endorphins released when you smoke crack. I mean, everything, again, it's all relative. Whatever your addiction is that's what you get the kick out of, whether or not it's playing video games, whether or not, as Precision says, having 19 wanks a day, or having a beer. Can I drink before I go to a game in Scotland? Can you not? Is that the truth? Can you? Are the pubs not open beforehand? Is that true? Precision says, man's correct. Naked Neil says, wonder why ads. Oh, we got a new sub. Hennig just resubscribed for 26 months using Prime. Okay, I can hear it. I think he's finished. I haven't got the headset on, but I did hear it through that. Wonder why ads, that pandemic period. We aren't that bad, says ads. You guys helped out big time. We'll buy you a pint for it eventually. Again, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. Again, that's what we always wanted to do was have the Discord as being self-fulfilling in terms of you can always contact us. You have more people there to be able to play games with. If you are, just always playing on your own in multiplayer games and you want other people to be able to play games with. It sounds super corny, and it sounds super corny coming from me in my stupid fucking Mancunian accent. But that is essentially what we set it up for in the first place. Like, obviously it's great that we can advertise that we're going live and stuff like that in there, but that's once a day, twice a day on a Tuesday, or once a day on a Sunday. The rest of the time, that Discord does not stop. Because you guys want to have a conversation with each other, whether or not you're fucking arguing about Rangers or Celtic, about who's better, or people showing pictures of food, or just genuinely having a chit chat about what shit's going on in their lives. Like, that's essentially what it was there for in the first place. I know this kind of feels like it's gone into a meditation healing podcast, but at the end of the day, that's what we're all here for. The reason why we wanted to start streaming in the first place was so that we have a conversation with people. Like, that's essential. That is why I started content creation in the first place. Like, the chances of me being able to make money from playing video games was slim to fuck all. But me playing video games on my own most of the time was the reason why I started streaming in the first place. Especially at night, for those of you that remember me having streams before Ice Cream Uploads where I was doing silent raves in my room at fucking midnight while Samantha was lying in bed behind me and I was playing PES fucking 2015. I'm playing PES, no microphone on because I don't want to wake the wife up when we lived in a council house and she was in bed behind me. Whenever I scored a goal, put the fucking flashing disco lights on, having a rave in the room and stuff with the music blaring. Like, that shit was just so that when I'm playing video games, I could stop at half time, have a chat in the chat feed and stuff like that, and carry on playing games again. For me, it's all about having chats with my friends, and I believe me, I've made so many friends with you lot over the years, which is amazing. Amazing, because I'm not very good at making new friends. It sounds like I'm getting emotional, but I do just have a sore throat. I do apologise if it sounds like I'm about to fucking start flooding out with tears in a minute. But I do genuinely have a sore throat. Where's my other mouse? I'm doing a great, mate. I'm just touching all these different mouses. Eventually I'll get it right. When we cornholing again. I don't know what that means, so I'm going to avoid that like the plague. Pubs open at 10:30. What time's kickoff over in Scotland? Because that for me is prime time for people before games to be able to go and have a beer. You can't check the cars and shit. Random bus checks. If it's obvious that you've been drinking, they can refuse you into the stadiums, but I saw people sneak buck fast into games. I remember that I used to try and make you piss. And laugh, yeah. You surely have all heard my laugh by now. Wait, piss your laugh? Piss yourself laughing, I meant. If it wasn't for Twitch, I'd probably have no friends, grew apart and moved from my IRL friends. I'm very lucky with the fact that I have had the same friends, like the same core friendships that I've got, like my closest 4 friends. are friends that I've grown up with since before I went to secondary school, but then I have a wider friendship group that I play football with on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That I started year 7 with. We all played for the same football team in school, the same football team after school, on weekends and stuff. So I'm very lucky that I have, this isn't a boast, about 15 to 16 close friends that I see on a regular basis. I'm very lucky. Samantha says that she doesn't have that. She has a support network of about 5 close friends. Everyone else that she grew up with, we all grow apart, don't we? We all grow apart. The people who you've been around for so long, the people you might work with that you don't know, you no longer see anymore, that you was probably best friends with back when you was working there. Like, life goes on. People have families, they move away and stuff like that. It's just the way that life is. But the fact that I have you guys on speed dial on Discord, that means the absolute world to me, because I don't want to bore Samantha with speaking about what the fuck's going on with eFootball or the new scandal that's happening in esports or something like that. She has no fucking idea. She doesn't care enough. As long as it doesn't affect me and my workload, like, she doesn't care about that stuff. And why should she? She's got no interest in video games whatsoever. So the fact that I have people around me that do is fantastic. If you read that one, Precision said, enjoyed kicking a ball about with you as well, baby. I mean, the stuff like that, do you know what I mean? It's fucking, it genuinely is life-changing. I'm in the same boat, says Neil. No real mates. 10 real mates. I'm completely butchering this. In the same boat, bib, about 10 real mates and then wider mates. Yeah, but the thing is that the wider friends, like, if I was to have a game of golf and then I go back up to the golf club afterwards, I'll probably have a pint with most people in there. However, I haven't got the numbers. I only know I know their first and second names, and I see them on a Monday or I see them on a Saturday or Sunday. Don't know them outside of them. Don't have them on Facebook. Don't have them on Twitter. Don't have them on Instagram. I wouldn't say that there was necessarily friends. I'd say there was acquaintances, because I see them once a week or something like that. But they are nice enough for me to go, do you mind if I sit here, pal? We'll watch the football, have something to eat or whatever. And I feel like that is how I've kind of lived my life for the last 10 years, barring the friends that I've obviously made in between. I've not seen my IRL friends for over 3 years. Had to completely isolate, so could care for my mother who had cancer. And that's the kind of shit that never gets talked about. All the stuff that people end up going through, but it's always the stuff like something that people don't like. They'll then say that the kids are the ones that are affected. But obviously, Phony Astro has mentioned there that he hasn't seen his friends. That's the kind of thing that people are going, okay, mate, I'm around. Are you okay? I know you can't go out for a pint or something like that, but do you want to jump online and start playing some games for a couple of hours? Like, that's the kind of shit that we need to be caring for. More than fucking betting things on football shirts and stuff like that. That's in my opinion. But yeah, that's very honourable of you to be able to do stuff like that, because it's 3 years of obviously your life as well, and there's nothing more important than caring about your family and stuff like that. But that's still 3 years of your life that you have dedicated to ensuring that the person who brought you into the world is having the support that they need. There is nothing greater than that. But obviously it comes down to your own self-care and mental health and everything else that goes along with that as well, to ensure that you are 100% when you wake up in the morning. Because stuff like that can genuinely just chisel away at you. And you obviously need to make sure that you're looking after yourself too, as well as making sure that your mum gets the care that she absolutely deserves. I know this has turned into something completely different, and what's that? How long have we been on for? 58 minutes, shit the bed. Right, let's move into, I'll tell you what, we'll do one more news article, and I will go over this one because I know Graham's not here, but I feel like with so many PUBG fans in the house, this is definitely something that we should be covering. Or do I wait for Graham tomorrow and I just shelve this one? I feel like that's probably better, actually. Let's do that. It is a PUBG article that we'll actually cover tomorrow instead. I feel like that is probably a better idea. Let's finish on this one then instead. Let's finish on this one. Written on VG 24/7 by Ush. I'm not going to try and pronounce the surname. I do apologise. I don't want to butcher it. They say that Nintendo has no plans for a Nintendo Switch price hike at this point. Despite widespread issues regarding parts shortages, Nintendo has recently confirmed that it has no interest increasing the price of the Nintendo Switch. Early this month, Nintendo did report that Switch sales had fallen by 23% due to the semiconductor component shortage. But the company president, Shuntaro Fukuwara, has confirmed that to Nikkei that the company wants to avoid pricing people out. And this is a quote. We are not considering a price increase at this point for two reasons. Nintendo has sold more than 100 million Switch units so far, and it is important to maintain the momentum of all of our overall business. Generally speaking, a weak yen makes the domestic Switch sales less profitable. Fukuwara also touched on the fact that in the future Nintendo's hardware business, though obviously there's no mention of any kind of Switch Pro, that the Nintendo will currently sell 3 Switch models: the standard model, the Switch Lite, and the reduced price size, features, and the OLED model. We'll work the best strategies as we go along. We're doing our best to procure high quality products at an appropriate price with an eye towards the next few years. While Fukuwara didn't go into whether or not he believes the company will actually meet its hardware sales target, he did say that all I can say is that we'll try and keep up sales at the same price, having it hit software, giving a boost to hardware. Nintendo currently doesn't have any plans to have any more Switch models for this fiscal year, which ends in 2023, though whether or not there are any plans past this point is anyone's guess. We don't need to know about any of the OLED stuff that came out earlier on. Is it this year? Last year. I thought it was last year. I just wanted to make sure. I wanted to confirm that. And I don't know whether or not I actually thanked Jordan for his subscription earlier on when he started shouting yeah. So I do apologise. Jordan, thank you very much for 26 months worth of sub. I do appreciate that, my good man. But yeah, it looks like we're not going to be getting a price hike for the Switch. I know there was rumours going around because the parts are few and far in between. If they have to pay more for the parts, that gets them passed down to the consumer, and then obviously something that was 280 quid might end up costing 330 quid. But it looks like that isn't going to be the case. They're just obviously going to look after the stock that they've got now, and if they need to do something somewhere down the future, they will obviously look to do that, but they're not looking at charging anymore for these consoles, which is fantastic because it is a cheap system. For what you're getting, it is a very cheap system. I don't think it's as good value for money as like the Nintendo Series S, the Xbox Series S, for instance. I feel like you are definitely getting your money's worth with an Xbox Series S for 250 quid next gen console that you're able to put. Between us, I've got Retro Hydro Mine now. That's available to be able to do. You can use it as an emulation station. You can play PS2 games on your Xbox Series S, but you can't on your PS5 natively. Fuck's that about. But you can. And I do. And I have. And it's fantastic. But yeah, best value for money in the next gen era is definitely the Xbox Series S. I think closely followed by the Nintendo Switch. Obviously, with the PlayStation 5, I think the budget system, the digital console, I think it's 350, and I think it's 100 quid more for the disc version. It could be 50 quid. It could be 400 and 450. I can't remember. It's obviously been a while since I've checked any of the prices. But I do feel value for money is obviously the Xbox Series S, then the Nintendo Switch. So if the price goes up, will I still say it's value for money? I don't know. But it looks like we're not going to have to cross that bridge anytime soon. So thank God for that. The techers between us is mental. I'm sure was both Brazilian somehow. Yeah, everyone was in absolute awe, weren't they, of our 3 kick-ups each. Funny Astro says, I've not seen me. I've read that one before. Little Leg says, my little boy has marrow failure, only found out on the 15th of June. It's all gone so fast. It's tough. Again, stuff like that. It's very difficult to be able to talk about with other people, which is obviously why the support network around your family is obviously the most important thing, because then you can all get through it together. Ice Cream Butler says, Usher, these are my confessions. Just when I thought I said all I could say this shit on the side. You know what I mean? Like, we could go on. Yeah. Chapper says, really sorry to hear that. Body Asteroid says, well butchered. That's me in a nutshell. But yes, I do believe that is probably, well, I've just got that funny asteroid, you bastard. I think that's it for today's show. I mean, for a dollop, which is obviously when someone ends up streaming the scoop on their own, we've exceeded most of the time that we usually do. It's usually like 40 minutes, but we've had a lot of topic of conversation. We'll shelve 2 of these news stories for when Graham is knocking about, because I feel like they're best served between us. But that is it for today's episode of The Scoop. What I'll do is, if you guys stick around, I'll send you over to somebody else's channel who may need a little bit of love, and we're there to be able to give it to them. But we'll be back tomorrow with tomorrow's episode of The Scoop. So if you want to help shape that show and the remaining 2 shows this week, there is 2 ways that you can do so. First of all, find us on social media. It is at Ice Cream Road Loads across all major social media platforms, or alternatively, get involved with our Discord. All we need from you is the URL plus your thoughts and impressions. But then give you our thoughts and impressions on the very next show, which is usually where we bring Graham here and say, what time tomorrow, Mr. Graham Day? He would then say, 10 a.m. ish. That's what Graham sounds like, by the way, if no one's ever heard Graham before. But again, stick around. What I'll do is I'll send you over to somebody else's stream. If you could go over there, even if it's a hi and bye, just dip over, wish them well for their day, and then get on with whatever it is that you want to be able to do, whether or not it's playing more games or what else. But until next time, guys, there's always one thing that we want you to do, and that, my friends, is to stay frosty. Where's that bloody button gone?